Hi everyone, I'm so happy to do this on a Sunday night and be with all of you. I'm going to get us started and we'll let folks arrive, and then Earthdance staff and supporters will give some announcements in about 10 minutes, but we'll get started. Just so you know, I'm in a space that has 3 other humans and 2 canines, so there might be some additional sound from my space, but this is our world right now, so we'll negotiate that. But if you have any issue hearing me, please either like wave your hand and just unmute yourself and announce it, or put that in the chat.
Yeah.
Okay, that you're having trouble hearing. I'm going to invite a few things. If you have some, just in this few minutes as folks are arriving, we might get to doing a little drawing on some, if you have some loose scrap paper around and any kind of writing utensil, if you want to grab that. And I'm also going to invite you, if you want to get something like really cozy to like cocoon in, I'm lucky to be by my front door. I'm going to like grab my big fuzzy jacket, but if there's like an extra layer, like a big jacket you want to grab to just feel really contained in it, and
well, I'm gonna do that.
You can go do that right now, and we'll meet back. All right, so I'm just gonna invite, as we're waiting, I've been like negotiating this of being in my house. My house isn't as warm as the temperature I like my dance spaces to be, and that's been something I've been kind of negotiating. And so I invite you into your warm things at the beginning, because I'm really going to focus this practice today on mobilization, and we're also going to work with the breath and with the eyes, some things that I think will aid us in this time. So to begin, you can find any comfortable seat. We're going to work from mobilizing from distal points into center. So I'm just really going to start with like my kind of cranky hands from working too much at the computer, and my feet, my toes, my ankles, like really feeling those joints, like feeling the joints that glide, the joints that crease and fold. Yeah. You can find, if you're seated, you can do this standing, you can do this seated, it's totally up to you. I'm gonna stay seated for a little while. Again, all bundled up, nice and warm. Just gonna lengthen, just kind of feeling that heel sits bone connection already as I crease and fold through knees, kind of a sponging effect as that kind of activation from periphery into the center line, right, into the navel center, sponging in kind of a beautiful cellular core distal relationship. I invite you to see your fingertips out in space, to see your toes activating. Good. Yeah, and then just give each of your hands and feet a little bit of love, like a little compression and rubbing, moving bones around gently. Yeah, just a little bit of touch. It's funny that the situation we're in is presenting kind of new circumstances each day. I'm finding today I had this day that I thought would maybe include a little bit more time being outside, a little bit more time being with my body, and I ended up making food for a friend who is sick right now with COVID and bringing it to her house and dropping it on her porch instead. And, you know, that was my day. So, you know, taking the time to attend to our bodies as our days present us with kind of new circumstances, evolving circumstances. Giving each of your feet a little love, really feeling into the dimensions of the arches, Just compression, really squeezing. I'm already starting to get warm in this coat, so much warmer than I would have been if I'm not wearing it. Yeah, great. Make sure you're working on those feet. Hands. Nice. Gently mobilizing the ankle. Wrists. Good. Yeah. And you might find that you want to grow this in space a little bit. Now you want to move into, let's do an invitation with the kind of creasing and folding of elbows and knees. Just coming into sensation in the folding of the bones. Just letting this be the warm-up that you're needing right now. Trusting you to find the degree of effort, the ease-effort relationship. Nice. Thinking about of growing and building up structures and breaking them down. Maybe as I get older, these warm-ups that are purely focused on mobilization are what I kind of always seem to want. Yeah. And then moving into ball and socket, kind of hips and shoulders. As we're doing this too, activating the face. Gymnastics for the face as well. Opening your mouth wide, sticking your tongue out, scrunching your face, lifting your eyebrows, wiggling your ears. You can bring your fingertips to your face as kind of an extended warm-up for your hands, bringing sensation to the tissues of the face, and the jaw and the throat. Just basically noodling around, finding that noodling, starting to feel some heat, perhaps. Good. Now moving the use of the hands to other parts of the body, musculature of the legs, and the glutes, to the bowl of the pelvis, the contents of the belly, floating ribs, lungs, armpits, lymph nodes. Just giving yourself that touch that is nourishing. Nice. Good. Letting any sound that wants to come out, come out. I'm going to take a little in this final minute before we let the Earthdance folks make some announcements. I'm just going to take my hands and just like move my skin on its like on the kind of surface, right? So I kind of take some of the fascia with me too, but I'm just kind of moving my flesh, feeling it kind of slide along the rib cage, sternum, cheek, the flesh of the cheeks along the musculature of the jaw underneath. Like taking the flesh of the glutes, quads and hamstrings, and just trying to move those kind of skin, fascial, muscle groups and combinations, just getting them to loosen up off the bone. And I naturally find a little bounce in this action as well because I have this kind of lift and drop through my arms, hands. and I'm warm. All right, good. Whew. Okay, thanks y'all for getting started. Brando, do you want to do some announcements before we get into the meat of this practice? Thanks everybody. Really happy to be here with you and really happy to donate my time to support Earthdance and in this time, and I'm gonna let them take it away with some logistics.
Yeah, I'm gonna spotlight myself for a second, and I'll be spotlighting Shura throughout at different times throughout the course of the class. First, I just want to say deep thanks to all of you for being here. Right now, we have 44 participants, and familiar faces and new faces, and it's just so sweet for all of us to come together during this time and align with each other and sort of connect via our own individual shared somatic experience. So thank you all for being here. And then of course, I would just want to deeply extend my appreciation and gratitude for Shura Baryshnikov, who is an amazing teacher out of running the Brown University theater dance program, and just an incredible artist and performer in her own right. And I think mostly what I want to say is she's an incredibly generous, sweet, loving person who's donating her time for Earthdance and for all of us. And thank you so much, Shura, for being here. So sweet to see you and to experience this class with you. This is a first for us, Shura. We've been teaching and performing and dancing together for many years now, in a company together. And I don't know that we've done this one before. So diving in again into new uncharted territory with you is always, I just love it. I just love it. I love doing this with you, Shura. So the evening trajectory is going to be like Shura is going to teach for a little while, and then at 8 o'clock or around that time, we'll take a little pause and feel free to get some snacks and bring them back to your screen, or bring your screen to your snacks or whatever, and we'll just we'll chat with each other, and we'll do a little bit of a talk back, and we'll have a chance for people to reflect their experiences of the class, their experience with Earthdance Live, and just like what's happening in their worlds and how this, this topsy-turvy time is affecting each one of us in individual ways. So it's nice to hear Earthdance style, to have that community time together. During just technically speaking, feel free to pin Shura as a teacher if you want to just highlight her and have her on your main screen. You can also use gallery view and see everybody on the screen. Make sure to continually making sure that you're muting yourself. I also have the ability to mute people, so I'll mute you if I need to. And again, I'll be highlighting Shura at different times in the class, or maybe also some of the Earthdance staff will be doing that too. And I just want to also right now take a moment to really thank the crew who have made this happen. And cool, you just turned on the light. I was like, one of our main people in the crew just up and left. No, so if Jackson, Lindsay, if you guys could just wave, maybe for I'm not gonna do that, it's too technical, but Jax is the Earthdance's operations director, and she's been with us since May. Jax, is that true?
Yeah, since May.
And has just been an incredible gift to Earthdance in a time that has not been easy. And over again, we have come to depend on Jax in a lot of ways, on a lot of levels. So so nice to have Jax here being a co-host of the event, and another co-host is Lindsay Swan, who's been doing marketing and development for Earthdance and is really a big part of also making Earthdance Live happen, as well as so much other programming. And then is Sam on? I'm not on gallery view. I'm
She
like
is down.
spotlighting.
She is on. Yeah, down there.
Okay, cool. Well, Sam is also right now holding it down at Earthdance. She is there in the flesh. So some piece of the space that we all know and love is with us this evening. Cool. We're going to be recording. We said this in the invitation, but we're going to be recording this and posting it for people from all over the world to see who might not have been able to see it in the live sense of it. So if you're not comfortable with that, just turn off your video and you won't be recorded in that way. Earthdance Live is just popped up out of a necessity that we're all sort of facing right now today. And we're excited about this new form and about how it's bringing people together. Next week, I just want to announce, we're going to be doing this every Sunday, 7 to 8 with a potluck Earthdance style after and a talk back. Next week, Alicia Grayson is scheduled to teach. And then the week after that is Ulla Makinen from Finland. So we're getting like a lot of different people from around the world to come and people who know and love Earthdance. So keep on coming every week. And if you can, spread the word, please. Like, that's how Earthdance thrives, is by all of you just continuing to support us in that way. So please, when you get the link, send it to a few friends and let them know that this is happening. And let's like build this community that we're needing to be in right now. Yeah. The other thing is that Earthdance is still continuing with some of its programming, and in a couple of weeks there's the Consent Symposium, which is going to be really interesting. Facilitators like Keith Hennessy, Rathia Lee, Nicole Bindler, and a whole bunch of Kathleen Ray, who's doing such great work in the Toronto area. A wonderful crew of people that are going to be giving their wisdom around consent and privilege and power. And I think it's going to really translate well to this new online format. So Lindsay is going to post how to sign up or register for that on the chat. So, and keep on eyeing the chat. We'll be posting different things throughout the night. And one thing that we're going to post right now, just before we start the class, just to know that this is the way that we're making do. This is the way that Earthdance is staying afloat. So if there's a way that if you're in a position where you're not hurting financially, and if you are, please like take this class for free. It's donation, and we want you to be here. But if you have it in you, please donate what you can generously to Earthdance to keep us afloat during this time. It super duper helps right now. And it also feels good to receive that. So that's my pitch. There'll be ways again on the chat where you can see and where you can donate. I'll probably say some things like at the end of the class and leading into the potluck, but I think I'm done speaking. Thank you all again for coming, and thank you, Shura. I'm gonna spotlight you for a while. When I spotlight Shura, if you don't want that, you can just get up and put your computer back in gallery view.
All right. Hi, everybody. All right. So I've been, I teach at Brown University, and this week I've been talking to students, and it seems like a lot of students are experiencing a lot of fatigue with their eyes. I had one student say, my eyes feel like marinated olives from the amount of screen time. So I'm going to do a very eye-focused practice today. And, for some people sometimes there can be some dizziness, and I just want you to always take care of yourself and do what you need to. We'll be working some with eyes closed and kind of back and forth between. You know your space, you know the amount of space that you have to move safely, and please just modify and take care of yourself. It's so different as a teacher not to be able to kind of like see and seek to contain and kind of keep your eye on everyone in a space, but we all have intelligent bodies, and we'll find our way to the work. My invitation is going to be to start now in a kind of more kind of dropped in place with sensation, getting to build a little bit more slowly now that we've gotten the announcements out of the way. So for about the next 5 minutes, my invitation for you is to come into an investigation of moving and stillness. And this can be really really what you need it to be in this moment as you're at the end of your weekend, maybe gearing up for another week, so that you're really taking the pauses and connecting to breath and sensation where you need them, and kind of discovering the night's rhythm and the movement rhythm of this next kind of 45 minutes. And with that, invitation for moving in stillness is also an invitation for eyes open, eyes closed. And what is the relationship between your moments of stillness and your eyes closed versus your eyes open? And how do those two kind of lenses, moving in stillness and eyes open and eyes closed, overlap, right? And how are they kind of phasing in and out? So that's the invitation for the next 5 minutes. Moving and stillness, eyes open, eyes closed, and taking what you need just to come into sensation. Thank you, Lindsay. Moving and stillness, eyes open, eyes closed. Coming into sensation, into breath. I like to say arriving with attention and intention. That is the invitation now. I'll put some sound into the space and let you be without my voice for a little bit. Maybe in these last few minutes, of this exploration, surprising yourself with some of the intervals, finding moments to peek, to open your eyes, or to open your eyes for a moment of disorientation within, or within a pathway, to catch movement, to catch a sweeping gaze. Beautiful. Great. All right, everyone. Good. Thank you for that. Hopefully that was something you needed in your day. Working again, thinking about movement of the eyes. We're going to think about mobilizing the eyes a little bit. I invite you just to come to a comfortable standing or seated position and just to let your eyes close. And kind of many practices, there's this, kind of intention sometimes of replaying activity or like memory through the movement of the eyes. And I just invite, because we're in such a frontal space right now, so much screen work, such kind of a narrow, kind of blinded view often when we spend so much time on a screen, is that I invite you to close your eyes and just to think of something that you've seen in your day. And it could be a memory, something you witnessed in the day if you were outside, or something in your home. And just let your eyes replay something that you saw. Eyes closed, just behind your eyelids. Your eyeballs are tracking the movement of that memory, kind of reaching to their edges. And if you can't isolate a memory, just let yourselves do a little dance with the eyes behind the eyelids, really looking to your extreme left or right, way up as if back into your skull. And then down. For those who joined the class late, I have 2 teenagers and 2 dogs, so sometimes there's noise in my house. Letting the eyes drop down. Great. Good. Awesome. And just let yourself come out of that. Go ahead and bring your fingertips to your kind of ocular, the bones. around the eyes. I was been thinking about the shape of these bones today. I was recently in a class, a warm-up with Lani Nahele, and she was showing an image kind of about the slope of the edge of the eyes, this kind of like soft angle, and then this like deep parallel in the inner eye on either side of the sinus. So just kind of coming into that sense of the shape and what it allows. We're gonna continue to activate the eyes. You can find really any starting position. You can work seated in this, you can work standing. The invitation is going to be to move the eyes, to move the skull, and then to organize the bones. And then you move the eyes, the skull follows, and then the bones follow, right? So coming to kind of a beginning simple body somewhere in your space, however that is, low to high. And we'll just play with this kind of activating kind of one step at a time, letting the eyes lead. So just let gently, wherever your eyes are beginning, let them shift, eyes alone. Then the skull, and then the bones, and then the eyes, and then the skull, and then the bones. Just the eyes, and the skull, and the bones. Find your gaze. Eyes move first, then the skull, and then the bones. Eyes, skull, bones, release. Eyes, skull, bones. 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 And start to make these shifts larger so that the gaze, you know where the skeleton is eventually organizing, right? If you take a really high diagonal, for instance, as high as you can, then skull, then the bones can really reach towards that point in space. So really taking, kind of following your interest in how large, how sweeping you want this movement to be. Maybe you gaze down towards yourself, almost as if you could look at your own navel. Then you find that with the skull. Then you organize the bones, so you feel that come into your deep primary curve in the spine. So what does it feel like to look towards your own body? Organize your skull around that point that you've looked at, and then organize the body, right, to follow that point of contact. So really feeling what's possible in this progression. Yeah. Nice. Couple more. Eyes, skull, bones. Beautiful. Couple more on your own time, playing with those intervals, the duration, right? That pre-movement organization, the departure, the pathway, and then the arrival. And now dropping into a very different quality, the invitation is to, for a few minutes, keep your eyes on your spine. So not letting the head turn, but letting everything turn around the spine's axis, right? To keep the eyes organized on the plumb line of the spine, the medial line of the body. And kind of bring in that gentle feeling that the skull is floating and it's just going with your spine. Kind of can, depending on the amount of space you have, you can feel that kind of pendulum of the eyes moving with the spine. Yeah. How do you find those plumb line falls? Right down the center line, creasing and folding like we did in the warm-up. Through hips, knees, and ankles, just letting the eyes go on a ride, like this elevator up to down. Really feeling this kind of deep ocular space within the skull, right? This floating sensation of the skull on the top of the spine, getting to really go for a ride as the inner support of the spine rises up through the throat, okay, to allow the skull to float on top. How do you build up structures from low to high? And then the third quality is really to let the eyes be the top of the spine and lead you through some beautiful spirals, really indulgent, huge, beautiful spirals where the eyes are really reaching through space and taking you on a ride. So different than letting the eyes go on a ride with the spine this time will take, the eyes will take the spine on a ride this time. Through all planes of movement, through your primary curve, through that sagittal space, through that lateral space. Eyes just leading. Maybe the fingertips have a kind of sympathetic relationship as those spirals emerge. Really feeling like that moment that you replayed the movement behind your eyelids, that you can really reach through space, almost like you could see back into the space of the skull as you take a spiral. Nice. Good. All right. Nice. Good. And wherever you are, you might, if you need a quick sip of water, you can just let this kind of soften out those spirals. Perhaps your spine feels a bit more warmed up. I just invite you to come to stand at the end of this exploration. Let it resolve. Either you can stand on your sits bones or you can stand on your feet, whatever is feeling right. And just come to the standing body. You know, invites the most ease. So easy on Zoom to have your head cut off there. Good. So just come to your standing body. Noticing the breath, the volume of the center of you, the support of the bowl of the pelvis, the fingertips drawing back slightly along the legs, the inner support of the spine rising up. Feeling that beautiful reverse pendulum as we grow those roots. Making sure we haven't energetically blocked all those joints that crease and fold. And just go ahead and visualize the internal space of the skull. Just let your eyes flutter open. they're not already open. And I invite you to pick a point in space. Pick a point. And with this first invitation, the body remaining easeful, I invite you to energetically go out towards that point in space, towards that thing you're looking at, maybe the little fleck on the wall or an object in the distance. Just energetically go out to retrieve information from it. Go out as if to capture it, the details of it, what you know or don't know of it. And just feel what that does to the placement of your weight, perhaps to the muscle systems that are supporting you as you kind of strain forward with intention to gather information about that point in space. And now do exactly the opposite. Allow the information from that point that you focused on to come to you, to flood into that deep space inside your skull, passing through what we imagine as the kind of two-dimensional surface of our face and way deep into this like deep, deep space inside the skull. Flooding in, kind of bouncing off the inside of the cranial bones like light, kind of traveling down through the space of the body, kind of bouncing off the surfaces of your interior space like a pinball in a pinball machine, traveling through the volume, your interior architecture. All of the information is flooding to you and filling up this like infinite space inside. And notice what that does to the placement of your weight through the arches of the feet. Where does that bring your plumb line and the three masses of weight? Does it change the breath? And what I invite for the next few minutes is then to take this quality of the world coming to you into a solo where you might still have interest in moving and stillness, where you might feel a shape, an organization of the bones crystallize, to take in what's in your visual field and just let it flood to you, continuing to invite that we don't go out to reach information, but we allow it to flood to us. And we notice how that changes our breath. We might find that that moment of receiving changes the depth of our breath. Like with the breath, we also invite in the gaze. And this can be very small. Or this could move quite a lot and fill the space you're in. Just keep connecting that sense of receiving visual information with kind of fullness and the power of the current of your breath. Activate the corners of the eyes as well. Don't strain into the peripheral vision, just open those apertures. To let that information flood towards you. Don't forget the space above you and below you. Whenever you feel fatigue, allow the eyes to close. Activate some activity behind the eyes, behind the eyelids. Still imagining that volume deep inside. There's as much space to travel inside as there is space to travel outside. You have this relationship of interior architecture to exterior architecture. The eyes can bring us between. See down into the interior space with eyes closed and bring a vector, a volume, a breath from the interior out to connect to your exterior space. Bring some aspect of the visual world around you, a color, a shape, a shadow, a volume. Let it flood to you and be absorbed. Let your eyes land on your own body. Find an ease in allowing the information to come to you. It's like exteroception and interoception, these multiple ways that the information is coming from what you see to you. Notice the moments when you've closed your eyes and you open your eyes into a new frame. What is your reaction, your interaction with that new frame? Is it first to search, to make meaning there, to make logic? Or can we kind of be more in that unknown of not yet understanding that frame, not yet understanding its contents? How can we open our eyes into a new frame without an expectation to make meaning, but just to perceive volume, texture, line, negative space? Let it flood to you. And letting this grow. In our final few minutes, I'm going to invite that if you have some paper in your space, that you take about 20 seconds of movement, eyes closed, eyes open, as you wish, and that then you come to your paper and you draw your eye pathway or part of the eye pathway that you just experienced. Often we draw in somatic practices to kind of understand the way we're perceiving our body. I've never done this before, where I'm drawing the pathway that my eyes kind of took or the journey that my eyes went on. So this is totally an experiment. So you can play with anything that I've introduced, the idea of the eyes replaying something or searching behind the kind of shade of the eyelids. You can play with moving the eyes, then the skull, then the bones. You can play with keeping the eyes on the spine, or you can play with letting the eyes lead the spine on a journey. You can include all of those, you can isolate one, and then the invitation is just to come to your paper and to feel the kind of replay of a particular journey or a portion of a journey. See what's on the page. Keep the segments fairly short if you're interested in trying to draw. Maybe you draw with your eyes closed, or maybe you draw with your eyes open. I'm trying one with my eyes closed. Do you represent eyes closed and eyes open journeys a different way in your quality of line, in the mark that you make? We have just a few more minutes. Always interested in how much movement material we can retain. I'm finding that I'm going through a pathway of kind of eyes closed, eyes open with these different qualities. And then I'm retrograding or going backwards through the pathway as a way to revisit it before I come to my paper. So, you know, we might have different tactics on like how we do this. It's like, oh, my eyes open, I feel a frame, I take it on a journey, ooh, I come back through that journey, ooh, back to that thing. So just noticing what's helping you to kind of track through these landmarks kind of within. Good, great. I'll take like another 30 seconds. And maybe we can come back together. With my dance students at Brown the other day, we did successfully share some somatic drawings. And so I think that as we all kind of come to the end of moving, and if you've done some drawing and we want to share some, and we can either share and, yeah, let's see. I did mine with Sharpie because I knew it might help. That was one of my eye pathways. Nice. Yeah, bring them up there. I want to see. Beautiful. Gorgeous. Yeah, bring your notebooks really close if you, yeah, and we can kind of take turns. So nice. Cool. Yeah. I did this one too. With these little lines were like I was opening and closing my lines or my eyes, so I felt like this was definitely a spine pathway, but these were like eyes open, eyes closed, like little intervals, which was fun to play with. Anyone else want to share a few? Oh, cool. These beautiful shapes. Nice. Ooh, my eye just caught, there's a balloon behind Lindsay. That was like, my eyes just went like right there, right there. Oh, beautiful. Nice, y'all. Hey, thank you so much. Thank you. Great. Yeah, so I guess just to give our eyes a little love in this time, maybe can we just for a final moment, now that we've just done so much, moved our eyes around so much, just allow create little like shells over, just give yourself a moment of dark, maybe even support the weight of your skull into your hands. Good. Take a few final big deep breaths just to ground your practice. Beautiful. And just gently let your hands come down. Okay. It's 7:59, close enough to 8 o'clock. I think this is the moment of transition, and I'll just say I thank you for your practice and for playing around with all these eye things that I love to do. And now we can nourish in another way. You can grab some water or snacks or whatever you need, and we're gonna come back and talk a little bit. Right, Brando?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Shura.
Yeah.
And oh my goodness, thank you, Jackson, Lindsay, and Sam for holding down the fort while I got to enjoy that class thoroughly. That was a treat. I just feel like I went into a really different, altered state. So now is a chance for people, if you want to, like grab a snack, take a drink, cozy up, and it'll be a chance for us to share. Feel free to put your screen on speaker mode maybe if you want to, and I think you can unmute yourselves. So
Yeah.
if you want to share what that class was like, if you want to share just like what's happening in your world these days, if there's anything that's like alive and burning that you want to say, in a minute we'll do that. But I just want to close out and say again, thank you to the crew, Jax and Lindsay and Sam, all representing Earthdance. Thank you to Shura Baryshnikov for donating her time and just like so sweetly and generously giving us that experience together. Thank you all for sharing that with us and for being here. This class is by donation, and again, whatever you can donate, if you're in a position right now where that can happen, that would be fantastic. Lindsay or someone on our crew will put the link on the chat of a great way to offer your generosity. And this Earthdance Live is happening. It's happening every Sunday. We'll be here. Come, whether you have funds or whether you don't. We want to make this a shared community space for everybody to enjoy seeing each other and to enjoy actually being in our bodies together in the way that we can right now. So that's my piece. Lindsay or Jax, is there anything that you want to add to anything that I said?
No, I think you've covered it. Thanks so much, Brandon.
Cool. So yeah, so now is the time for like if you want to speak, if you want to say something, just unmute yourself. And it really can be about the class, or it can just be about where you're at. There's people all over the country tuning in right now, and it's just so sweet to see so many people from different parts, West Coast and East Coast. The floor, the space is open.
Hi, it's Sue Lother, and I was just wondering, I've been on Zoom dancing for a bit, and it seems like after about a half hour, I start to feel nauseated, like I've been doing too many rolls on the floor in one direction.
Right.
And I wondered if anybody else is feeling that and wondering what's going on.
Mm.
Anybody?
Well, I started to get a little bit dizzy with the spirals.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it has to do with your inner ear and balance and things like that.
Are you trying to keep your eyes on the screen a lot, Sue, do you find?
I don't know. I definitely am more visual now than I ever have been dancing.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it's new, getting used to a different sense taking priority.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to say I also, hi Sue, by the way, how are you? It's nice to, and Aaron, it's nice to see familiar faces. I got a little nauseous too. I was wondering if it was because my room is closer and so you're seeing things closer. I wasn't looking at the video so much. Mm-hmm. And then also there's so much to process right now that could be it too.
Yeah, but I think I work can do that. It definitely can kind of stretch us and sometimes cause some dizziness. Definitely. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hi, Erin.
Hey!
Hi.
Thank you, Shura, for that beautiful class.
Sure.
I was just reading on the Contact Improv Teachers Network on Facebook group, and people were talking about dizziness specifically from the small dance, from standing. And one of the things, and this was a question that Carolyn Waters from England had posed, and it was a long thread, and Steve Paxton chimed in, and I don't think directly on the Facebook, I think they were privately emailing, but he was talking about when people get dizzy, often there's a disconnect between he was talking about seasickness and the healing of the floor and the horizon, the far distant horizon, that there's a disconnect there. So some of the ideas that people had suggested in the Facebook group, different contact teachers, were really putting attention toward the ground, specifically in reference to standing in the small dance, making sure that your knees weren't locked, and that there was some give in your joints, and sort of tuning your attention to what is solid. Some other people were talking about some really interesting things about all of the craziness that's going on in all of our lives right now, and all of the complete disconnect and ungrounding that's happened. And so Defne Erdur from Turkey, France, had some beautiful suggestions about noticing things that are connected, like specifically within your body on a physical somatic level, and that feeling, but then also extending that out into what's going on in your world and what is solid for you and what is working, and then building resilience from there, if that's a goal.
Yeah, that's beautiful, Erin. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Steve, it's so good to see you. I'm so glad that you and Gretchen made it to another class. It's so sweet to see the yurt. That's the yurt where Tumble Bones dance is. Do you guys have a report from the Netherlands?
It's 10 degrees 2 days ago, but it's 60 today, but it's supposed to snow again in a few days. So we get a long winter up here at 8,000 feet. Lovely to see you.
Yeah.
Hi. Hi, y'all. Wonderful to see you. Hi. Hello. Hmm. Great.
Hey, it's Meta.
Hi.
I just wanted to share that I really appreciated that the last invitation around drawing after. I think it did, even though it was your first time you had that invitation, for me it was really brilliant. It was a really interesting interaction between noticing how much more flow was for me to track it with my eyes closed, even though I'd actually tracked it with my eyes open. And how much I really wanted a 3D pen. Yeah, so I'm gonna play with that and have some exploration to see how, because I also feel like when I force myself to draw with my eyes open, I also tracked it differently in my brain. I tracked it instead of my sensory, like how it felt in my body when I closed my eyes, I tracked it more visually through my mind.
Interesting.
So it actually triggered different tracking mechanisms.
I find often when I draw with my eyes closed, when I'm working on to explore some things somatically, that I'm often like capturing one moment, and it often has a lot to do with like interior volume or interior sensation, or it has like something to do with the way the breath is traveling. But what was interesting for me this time with the drawing was that I was also capturing the passage of time, because the opening and closing my eyes within like a certain pathway was capturing intervals. So there was more of a keeping of time through these images that I was making than maybe is typical when I did a similar practice last week that was more based on just like a sensation in a moment. And what I noticed, I think this one I shared was that these were opening and closing eye intervals, right? And then I went on a journey that the eyes led the spine. So it was, that felt different to me as well. That it was more metered somehow, related to these this kind of combinations of eyes open, eyes closed, or journeys behind the eyes, and that was represented differently. So I think I'd like to play with it a little more as well. Yeah, thank you for that.
Hi guys, my name's Carl. I'm a student from Purdue University. We're located between Chicago and Indy.
Carl, can you just say where you are right now? Just report.
Yeah, Lafayette, Indiana.
Cool.
My backyard specifically. So some of the things I wanted to share about was my experience doing a class outside, and some of the things that I noticed today when I did this. Some of the differences I got from being outside as opposed to normally in a dance studio where I am doing a lot of these classes, actually with Paulie. So some of the things I noticed, number one, was that the textures of the grass and the ground and the bumps in the ground really added a lot to sensations I felt in my feet. But something I didn't expect really was when I walked onto my stone patio, and to actually feel the warmth of that stone kind of soak up into my feet as I was, after being off kind of this coldish grass area, which I thought was a very interesting experience. Another thing that I found really, really interesting and unique, which I have never really noticed when I've danced with my eyes open, but when I dance with my eyes closed, and a moment ago when the sun was still out, I could actually see the sun through my eyes. And one of the things, if anyone's ever danced outside before, I've done a little bit before, or just general playing, you don't get to look at the sun hardly at all. But suddenly now that my eyes were closed, I could see the sun and I could sense presence without it hurting me. And so it was really interesting. I actually had it felt like a partner dance with the sun, kind of getting to experience the sun, how it was shifting. It actually just happened to happen at a time where it was just starting to go over a house. So right as the dance time was ending, it actually started fading out of my view, and I couldn't see it anymore. It was a really
amazing. Thank you for sharing that, Carl. That's beautiful.
It's Tanya here.
Hi, Tanya.
Tanya, tell us where you're broadcasting from. And if everybody, before you speak, just say your name and like kind of where you're at so we can like all feel like the breadth of where we're all connecting from.
Yeah, I'm up in Kitchener-Waterloo, Canada, near Toronto, and in my living room. And what I found really affected by was that idea of the image of what I'm seeing coming into me. And yeah, all of a sudden I felt just so full, like I had all this that's around me is with me, and yeah, this sense of not being alone at all. I found that really powerful.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you too.
I had one of those moments where I was like, I think it was when I was saying you could also gaze on yourself, and I just had this one of those moments where I could have sat there and looked at my hand for a very long time. It was like, it is part of my body and it's not part of my body. That kind of like, but just this like kind of patience and allowing that image to come. I was incredibly patient with it in like allowing it to become what it was going to become. And I just like appreciated that in that moment, that I felt no rush to like make it into anything more than it was already, which was, yeah, I had a lovely moment there.
Cool.
But thank you. I had a similar feeling. It's that instinct to name. Like I was working with my eyes closed and I'd open and I would like see my plants and my chair and my dog, and you have that like that naming impulse of like, I see this thing and I frame it and I make meaning around this is the frame of this, rather than just like kind of like seeing form first. It's like makes me think of like the, Barbara Dilley, the 5 ways of seeing. It's like, could I see it more, even though I was like taking in details, I was letting it be formed. There was something about not moving so quickly to naming and framing, but just receiving, like the baby vision almost.
Neat. Oh, thanks for that, Shura.
Thank you.
I did an improvised drawing practice a couple of years ago where I bring a pad and some pens to a free jazz concert. And I would try to draw, like, I would look at what I was doing and I said, well, what do I want to draw? And then I'd let the music move my hand. And then I'd say, is it done, or do I want to do more? And eventually it was done. I moved to the next page. I also want to talk about the current situation, which is very strange for me. I feel almost guilty about how much fun I'm having. I'm going to virtual dance camp. I've been doing static dances already today, and I'm going to go another one later. I've been dancing twice a day, at least almost every day.
That's wonderful.
And it's like I don't know. It's just it is the sheer horror of it isn't hitting me, I guess.
Virtual dance camp. I love that. We can.
If you're in the Eastern time zone and you're a night owl, you have a massive amount of choices of dances to join.
I want to echo what Emil is saying. My name is Judy, and I live very close to Earth. Well, not full time, but I'm very close to Earthdance right now, just right over the hill. Hi, Earthdance people. So I'm a teacher and I'm teaching online, and that was so beautiful, that class. I just want to say thank you so much. Like, I loved it, and I was moving in ways that I never moved before. So that was great. But I think what Emil just said is so important, because I've been offering classes and connecting to students that I haven't seen for
30 years, and they're from all over the world, and I'm here with you guys, and there's something about the connected nature of improv in general and dance in general. And I almost wonder, is there some value to what's going on now that we can kind of keep going through this? Because not everyone can just fly to Earthdance and be there in that wonderful space, but we can do this together. So maybe we can kind of keep this going.
I find the ecstatic dance form transfers very well to the virtual world, and that there's a difference in character in my duets. I can't even pin it down, but it's a different emotional character. It's like I emotionally bound my partner in a different way at a virtual ecstatic dance than I would at a physical ecstatic dance. And if I'm looking, if you see my profile, it's because I've got a big screen over here, but my webcam's over here. So I tend to turn it towards the big screen around so I can see you guys a little better.
I just want to do a quick shout out because someone just on the chat said that they're leaving soon, and I see him in the screen. His name is Mauro. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Mauro, am I pronouncing that right? From Argentina, joining us. So that's just like, I don't know, it just feels really, really amazing to me to have all these different connections from all over the world. So Mauro, thank you so much for like hanging with us at Earthdance.
I don't understand much more. Hablo castellano. I can't speak, but I'm happy to stay here, and this form of vinculated is very important in these moments. For the isolation, thanks for that. My eyes están agradecidos.
They are great.
No, pero si quieres, te puedo traducir un poquito. Si
Hola.
Sí,
Bien.
yo también.
No,
Ay, mira, hay tantas.
gracias a todos.
No, ve.
Estoy realmente muy agradecido por estas nuevas formas de vincularnos de forma planetaria positivamente, donde podamos compartir algo más que destrucción. Eso.
Mauro saying, I'm really grateful for these new ways of connecting and for finding new opportunities that are outside of destruction. Erin, do you want to help me out with the last part?
Yeah, I think you also said something about connecting worldwide in a way that's positive. And then, ¿qué era lo último que decías, Mauro?
Que para mí es muy positivo que nos conectemos de estas maneras, porque estamos viendo muchos compañeros y amigos de acá, de estas zonas, que las herramientas como YouTube, WhatsApp, o sea, todo lo que es Internet, también nos llevan a encerrarnos y a vincularnos de una manera única. Está en nosotros romper esa manera única y conectar nuestros cuerpos y el movimiento mediante esto. Es una de las formas. Por ahí es muy complejo lo que planteo, pero bueno. Romper el discurso único, básicamente eso. Mediante esas herramientas.
Perdón. So Mauro was saying that it's been really great to see so many people breaking with this one way of doing things and being able to connect on YouTube and all these other different platforms, and that it's been a really positive thing for him to see all these connections. He's had a lot of other things.
Yeah. The first time I really caught wind of like what was happening in terms of like contact improvisation in Argentina, I remember it was it was a lot of years ago, and it was actually Martin Keogh who was telling me every day there's a jam in Argentina, in Buenos Aires. Every day there's a jam, and then he started talking about encuentras and these like meeting places where people would go into the woods and set up like a renegade dance floor and like live together for a while, and dance contact daily. And it's interesting that like Mauro, that you're from Argentina, and then I see Martin like sort of just popped into this little sharing, and I'm just curious, Martin, if you're hearing me and if you want to say something. Oh, there you are. There you are. Cool. So good to see you, man. It's been so long.
It's great to have something I can drop in with the energy I've got right now. And I would have shown up earlier, but I had to nap. So I'm here now hearing the conversation. It's wonderful. It's like that post-class glow.
Oh, what a pleasure. What a pleasure to see you, man.
Yeah, great to see you too, Brando, and everybody. There's so many people here I know. It's kind of breaks my heart a little bit.
I have a question for Shura.
Sure. Who's asking?
You mentioned Barbara Dilley. I was wondering if you had a chance to study with her.
I haven't. I regret that. I would love to someday. I've definitely been interested in eye practices for some time and ways of seeing, and I find I teach actors at Brown. I mean, I teach actors and undergrad dancers as well, and theater makers, but I just find that the use of the eyes is so helpful for really exploring the use of the eyes is so helpful for my acting students, grad students. And so I've enjoyed a number of teachers, many teachers that I've kind of either studied with or read about their work. And I definitely, the 5 ways of seeing that Barbara Dilley outlines has been a go-to, but also, you know, Ruth Sapora does really amazing exercises with the eyes. And that kind of Ruth works a lot with just moving the eyes and then allowing the skull and the body to follow, and that articulation, breaking those apart. And so, you know, done that work, some of that work with her as well.
Thank you.
Definitely. Yeah, but I'm also obsessed with interior space. So that the eyes, often the sensation of the eyes having that depth. Often that sense of interior space for me begins with bringing my sense of ocular space and volume. And then there's somehow like the way like a submarine, you know, that you can like see down into it, like feeling a volume inside, somehow that often originates for me in like feeling the volume inside my skull, and then like being able to like gaze down into, I love to imagine like deep open space in the interior of my body. I mean, it's wonderful to like feel fluids as well, and like bones and fascia and tissue and ligaments and, you know, that kind of like tensegrity. I mean, of course I love the like feeling of density too, but sometimes that sense that just the body is empty, just almost like deep space in the universe is like an image that I'm really interested in as well. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Clarice. I'm from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. And I don't know if I'll be able to, I don't know, to speak very good, but I'll try. Well, I was invited by Mauro to this class, the Argentinian guy. He invited me. We've just met maybe last week, I believe. We've met in a jam that was happening. I don't know, I'm mixing up a little bit because here we have that
Maybe some
that is like, how can I say, people from São Paulo. Well, we just met, and he called me to your class. I thank you so much for the beautiful class.
Thank you.
It was really, really special and poetic. And yes, it's really amazing to be in my place, in my room, with these how can I say, these instructions, to receive this information, like these really precious informations that I only get together, or that I only receive when I'm outside, you know, when I'm in a school dancing. I don't know. So it was really, really special, and really, really powerful exercises to use the eyes. It's really, really powerful and really rich. It's a rich experience. It reminded me of some classes I had in this school we have here in Brazil that is really special, that is called Angel Viana. I don't know if you heard about it, but there are these classes, and here I felt a little bit like this, in which we try to perceive, to notice our sensations, our structure, our body structure. And it's like, I don't know, I feel like a surrealistic painting, because I don't know how to explain. But it's really, really poetic. And it was really nice to close my eyes and move my head, and like feel my eyes like two balls, I don't know, swinging, you know. It was really, really strange and cool sensation. Well, I just wanted to thank you so much. I'll try to, I don't know, to do some research to know about what I can be with you next Sunday. It's really nice because we're having so much dances every day almost. It's crazy. I'm really glad that we can still dance together.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
So
wow.
thank you so much, Clarice, for speaking, and I'm just watching the time, and I want to keep to that, but I also I just want to take a time to just close, and then I'll leave some time open for people to continue chatting. Also use the chat room. It's a really sweet way to shout out to everybody and keep that kind of energy alive as well. Thanks again to Earthdance for helping to keep on bringing dance into our worlds during this time. Thank you, Jax. Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you, Sam, and the Earthdance crew. Like, there's actually, like, if you look at Sam's screen, you can actually see the square barn. For those of you who have been to Earthdance, there it is. It still exists, even in a pandemic. And that next week, I just see Sue shouting out to Alicia Grayson. She's amazing, an amazing, experienced, so many years of somatic experience in that woman's body and teaching all over the world. It's going to be a pleasure to host and to have Alicia here next week. And for all of you, like, thank you for coming. Keep on coming. Again, it's by donation. Whatever means you have to offer to Earthdance, we appreciate it. We're trying to stay alive, as all of us are during this time. And it's just so sweet to see you all. So I'm gonna check out. Shura, did I thank you again? Shura, I love you so much. Thank you too. Thank you for doing this. And yeah, the space is open. I'm gonna keep it open for about 5 more minutes for people to chat, but also if you want to unmute yourself and say something brief so that people can all have some space to just like be seen and be heard.
Thank you, Shura.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Shura.
Thank you.